Hi, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine. Today, I wanted to talk about lavish self love. Self love is something many of us have received as a message at different junctures in our life. Like, love the self, it's important to love the self, practice self love. We can receive that message a lot here at our school. And sometimes it's like, well, what exactly does that mean? What would you have me do then? You know, you want me to hug myself? Yes, can't hurt. Go right ahead, hug yourself every day. Can't hurt. But love as a verb and as an action and as a directive of an action, love yourself. It's like, okay, well, what actions does that, what does that entail? What would you have me do? How does one love the self? Well, what will that look like in my life? My mom, who, bless her, greatest woman I've ever known in probably all of the multiverses in all of my lifetimes, the coolest. Um, she would often say things like, "To thine own self be true," and "Know thyself." And these were so common for her. My brother and sister and I, when we went to bury mom, were like, "Oh, which one of these did we put on her gravestone?" Because they were just normatives in my household. Know thyself. To thine own self be true. And as a young child, it's like, what? But one of the ways, one of the facets of loving the self is knowing the self, is to know the self. What nurtures you? What nourishes you? What feeds you? What serves you? For me, it nourishes me to take a bubble bath, put some Epsom salts in there, put my Archangel Michael Hexbreaker herbal blend in there, put my, candles, get my candles lit, maybe get some nice tunes going, and just luxuriate in a bubble bath. To me, that's self-care. To some people, that's soaking in dirty water. So that's not for you. So, for you, maybe it's getting a foot rub or giving yourself a foot rub. I want to talk about self-love because one of the ways I've been able to come to the conclusion of what it means to love the self, to love my beautiful self, what it means to love your beautiful self, your beautiful sacred temple that you walk around in, that is, just mystical in its magnificence, the way a human body functions. Whew, what a remarkable creature you are. One of the ways I've been able to garner clarity on okay, yes, I hear many masters say love the self, self love. I hear this over and over again through many masters throughout the annals of time. One of the ways I've been able to consider what action is being asked of me in the statement is what is not loving the self. Not loving the self is an extreme practice, and it's a self-destructive practice. Loving the self is usually a middle path practice. So when we become really extreme in self-destruction, and you can self-destruct in extreme ways. You can do it through drugs, through alcoholism, through drug addiction. I would say even excessive marijuana use. Too much of it, you get to a state of certain level of it being an overwhelm on the system to not be conducive to creativity or to relaxation. It can be conducive to extreme lethargy and snack eating. A lot of snack eating. you know, if you don't have an active self-love practice and eating really healthy foods all the time, not always the best thing for you. But we can self-destruct through food, using food as a means to protect the self or not care for the self. So we just keep consuming it. We overconsume. So when we go into extremes, that typically can be a quick route towards self-destruction. If we consume way too much of very unhealthy foods that don't serve the self and don't nurture our organs, our vital systems, then that can be a self-destruction practice. And it can be a very addictive one, because in the modern age we have all kinds of really brilliant minds, specifically, formulaically garnering two-legged's attention to consume that which doesn't serve, that which isn't loving to the self. So I don't want to negate the paradigm that's present that can garner that pathway of self-destruction. In the same vein, there's lots of trauma that two-leggeds face that can cause one to go down a pathway of self-destruction with drugs or with alcohol. We can become self-destructive by the company we choose to keep. Some of you may have a partner right now that it would behoove you to get away from them forever. Bless them away from you forever. Bye! Because being with them is self-destructive. It is a way to literally brutalize the self through their physical, mental, or emotional abuse, to just tolerate intolerable situations, which you don't have to do. You can absolutely leave. So there are many ways. We can do it through relationship, we can do it through food, we can do it through drugs, we can self-destruct in all these different ways. And all of those models are really extreme. It's really extreme to stay with somebody that consistently leads you to a state of mental, emotional, or physical misery. And you cutie patootie. And there are ways we can move more towards that middle path. I don't think that we should just, I'm never going to have cake, and I'm never going to, I mean, you can be puritanical, sure, but you're not going to take your taste buds and your nerve endings with you when you exit flesh costume. You might as well get to taste some luxurious things while you're down here. You might as well get to enjoy life, experiment, explore, open the third eye, maybe, take some mushrooms at some point. I don't know. Experience true medicine like Madre Ayahuasca or Kambo. Or I think that life is here to be lived, and we should enjoy it. But there's something to be said for that middle path of moderation, and how the middle path of moderation can cause one to have kind of more active practice of lavishing love on the self. So one of the ways we lavish love on the self is to be moderate in what we choose to consume that doesn't engender health and wellness in excess. One of the ways we can lavish love, self-love, and luxuriate in self-love and find relief in our existence through loving the self can be to know the self, to be true to the self, and to find those things that really serve you and light you up. Perhaps it's a bubble bath. Perhaps to you that's soaking in dirty water. So perhaps for you it's going and getting a toy that you really wanted as a child, that you weren't allowed to have, and giving it to your adult self and allowing your inner child to play with this toy you've always wanted, this thing you always wanted as a kid. For many of us, we may have come from not strong financial standing and may have greater financial freedom as an adult to explore with and play with a toy. And it's okay for adults to play. We don't have to be so like, I'm an adult and I'm adulting and I don't play. I don't have toys. It's like, okay, is that fun? I mean, like, go get a kite, fly a kite, go get that toy you always wanted. But I really think that it's important to consider how am I actively engaging in practicing self-love? So if you are in an extreme right now where you are in a path of self-destruction because you're facing an extreme, I don't recommend flogging yourself, judging yourself, or beating yourself up for that. Darling, you're doing what you can from where you are. And if you're in an extreme of self-destruction, which would be the opposite side of the coin called self-love, if you're on the self-destruction side of it, beating yourself up and judging yourself isn't going to help. What decision can you make today to be more moderate and gentler with you and more caring towards you? Maybe you're not going to just immediately stop being an alcoholic, but can you move towards drinking less, putting a limit on what you drink, slowing your roll, Mixing it up. I'm going to do a cocktail and then some water, and a cocktail and then some water. So that you have active practices where you're incorporating and bringing the self back towards balance. If you're over consuming foods that don't ultimately serve your vital organs that are in your flesh costume, can you add a sweet potato once a week? Do the addition. Don't do the subtraction diet method. Do the addition method. Add in a sweet potato, super nutrient dense. Awesome. Great. Add in one meal per week that's completely whole foods based, that comes from either the, grass-fed, pasture-raised meat counter or the produce counter if you're vegetarian or vegan, and just give yourself one nutrient-dense meal a week. So today I'm asking myself, because today I am actively practicing this. I went out and I'm having a date with myself, which is something my sister taught me, which is like such a wonderful, lovely practice. I went and got beautiful flowers. I have these two fantastic face faces that I got. One is lunar, one is solar, beautiful goddess and god imagery. And you can put flowers in them. So I put flowers in there to just enjoy them on my wall today. I'm going to take a bubble bath today. I'm going to have a luxurious meal for myself this evening, a grass-fed steak meal. And I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to, maybe play video games or like goof off and allow my inner child to play. So when it comes to the active practice of self-love, it helps to know what nurtures you, what nourishes you, what feeds you, what aids you to feel blessed, your cup refilled. What causes you to have your cup feel refilled and for you to feel like you are luxuriating in this experience called life? That is a practice. It is a practice. Are there any people in your life, in the river of your life, that speak ill of you or talk down to you or are judgmental with you? Books don't do that, and four-leggeds don't do that. I recommend getting them out of your life, maybe saving a pet from a fate of death and adopting a pet or reading a book. Way more entertaining than having someone in your life that speaks ill of you or holds you in the smallest. Like, I have a very clear decision in my life. I don't choose to have people in my life. I bless everyone. May all do well. But in the river of my life, those that come into the garden of my life, I choose those that truly see me. And those that truly see me will hold me in the highest, because I serve light, the light of truth and the light of love. I choose love. I'm not a saint. I have work to do like everybody. I have a lot of growth edge. A lot of self-love work to do is part of that, of course. But part of my self-love practice, I've always been a person that just wants to know all of humanity and just loves it all. And I love everybody, and everybody's so cute, even if they're being wicked evil, they're just trying and they're just not doing a very good job. Just always had a very loving, forgiving, tender heart. And I've learned, like, that's cool. You can also love people from afar, Heather. You can also love yourself, know yourself, respect yourself so much that you understand that you're going to actively work to say loving things to you, to shower yourself, to lavish yourself with the glory and the grace that is loving kindness. And you're going to choose in the river of your life those things that add to loving kind words in your mind. And you're going to choose your consciousness to be placed on that which fills your cup with more love, more kindness. In what ways today can you lavish yourself with love? Can you cherish your beautiful self, your sacred temple of a two-legged? In what ways can you fill the emptiness that you're made of with love, with sweet, sweet, delicious love? If someone hasn't told you today, happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you'll find a way to love your wonderful self this day and more each day to come. Blessed be.